An exclusive and disturbing account, a new account from the brutal prison where Trump is sending migrants in El Salvador. Philip Holsinger is a photographer, and he captured these exclusive images for Time magazine, and he is speaking out now. He was the only photographer, not from the government, on the ground that night. Now, we've exclusively taken you inside that maximum security prison. It's housed some of the world's most dangerous criminals. Our David Culver has shown that to you. It's where El Salvador keeps what it calls the worst of the worst. The U.S. Homeland Secretary is slated to visit this week, Kristi Noem. Out front now, Philip Holsinger, photojournalist reporting for Time. And Philip, you were the only one there. You're the eyes that were able to see this, that are able to share it with the world. Tell me what you saw.
Yeah, the arrival that night was in a way a typical transfer of people in El Salvador. It's late night. Literally, the planes landed around I think 10:30 p.m. and we're surrounded by about 500 military and then about 500 police officers in riot gear. Then came to the bottom of the gangways of the planes, and then they prepared to offload the detainees.
So you're talking about 1,000 military and police for this one flight, yeah.
Yeah, and that's in a way it's typical because of the building of the Sikot super prison here, they move prisoners in country from the other jails, usually in large groups, usually around 2,000. So they sort of have a methodology, and they have to move them at night because the traffic is so bad that it's the only time that they can sort of safely move across the streets. So if for someone who's never seen it, it's pretty daunting to see black clad policemen and soldiers and that amount of people.
So I want to ask you about a few things, but first about one young man specifically, because you reference him in your reporting for Time. You say that he claims to be a barber, not a gang member, and that he was sobbing. And can you tell me a little bit more about him and why, as you were photographing him and you were right there in those moments, why you believe him?
So the context of that writing is that I've spent over a year here in El Salvador documenting the security transformation in the country, working on a book here. And so I've had deep access to the prisons, and unfortunately, I've learned the details of the horror that was going on here because I've interviewed many of the murderers. And so I had an expectation of what was going to be coming off the plane in terms of detainees, which was not what I expected. But also you learn, as I'm sure you're aware, you learn to read people, and murderers, they don't whimper, and I was, it doesn't mean that somebody's innocent just because they whimper, but a whimper is different than a growl, and I think that as I began to watch some of the detainees kind of unravel, it caught my attention because they looked different. They didn't look like the kind of criminals I've been accustomed to around the world.
And you're using that plural. I mean, you're talking about that young man who says he's a barber. He said he was gay, right? I mean, he said he was. There's no way he would have been in this gang because of these things. There was another photo of a young man. Now, the prisoner in this video, this is your picture, but it also has been circulated by the president, Bukele, as his hair is being shaved off. So that's the one thing we've seen. And you've said you can confirm he is MS-13, but that what you saw with him and seeing him is giving you nightmares. How come?
My daughter told me to be careful about being so graphic. I'll say that I've worked in war zones. I've worked all over the world, and I've seen a lot of horror. And strangely, El Salvador is the kindest country I've ever visited. It doesn't correlate, Aaron. It's people here for what they went through. It's amazing how generous and kind people are. They should all be bitter. And part of my work here, I say, is that all the things I've seen in the world, I came to a kind country and I started having nightmares because I've read their files. I've interviewed hundreds of murderers in the prison. And what most people don't know is MS-13 and Barrio 18 and Tren de Agua, what's unique about these gangs is their protocol for murder. They aren't just street thugs. They actually go to great ends to torture people. And so one type of person they have in their gangs is something they call the maestro of dismemberment. It's the master of dismemberment. And this guy that was the main MS-13 guy they brought back was one of the leaders who was ordering these, devilish murders.
Philip, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It is obviously, I know your nightmares and tortures you, but you are giving all of us a view that we must have. And I thank you for that. I know everyone watching does. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right.